Hello, everyone. This is Jerica J. Red Brumfield, host of All Things Web Show. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We have a great guest on tonight. And if you are watching the replay, be sure to hashtag replay in the comments. We would love to know that you watch with us. And if this is your first time, All Things Web Show is a realm for restoration, education, encouragement, laughter, and motivation. And so, with that being said, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to this realm. All right, everyone. We are talking about Black boys need empowering too. Black boys, how many of you all can agree that Black boys need empowerment too? I know I can agree with that. And so we have mentor Abra Taylor coming to the stage to talk to us about Black boys need love too. All right. And thank you so much, Abra, for coming in. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and thank you so much for having me.
That is great. That's great. If you could, because I know some people are new to you, tell us who you are and where you logging in from.
I'm Abra Taylor from Gulfport, Mississippi, born and raised, book author, entrepreneur, mentor, co-founder and president for a nonprofit organization, um, and so many more titles that I hold as well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And I know we're going to be talking about the Black Mini Empowerment too. If you could, because I know that you are a mentor, if you could to tell us what is a mentor in your terms or your definition.
So for me, and not giving a technical definition of a mentor, but for me, what a mentor is a person that's able to inspire and motivate. And the I like to call it the three E's. As a matter of fact, in my mentoring program and our mission statement, we have the three E's, which is encourage, empower, and education. So those three E's are very well needed as it pertains to a mentoring.
Okay, encourage, empower, and what was the other one?
Education.
Education.
Yeah.
That is good. How long have you been mentoring?
Well, we actually started our nonprofit back in 2015. So since 2015 is when we first started our organization, and from there we've been rolling and rocking ever since.
Ever since. Okay, so if you could to tell us why did you go into doing mentorship? You know, it's so many people that um lay kids, children, I don't need to say kids, but children to the side.
Mhm.
So what made you want to do mentoring? And especially in this time, you know?
Right. Yeah. So for me, I mean, it was more so I saw a need and I wanted to be the one to make a change in my community. I see people all the time just doing a lot of talking, but don't show a lot of action. And, I always say that, success happens when you put action behind it. We can talk all day, but if we don't put the action behind anything, nothing is going to get done. And so for me, growing up, I grew up in a great household. My father is a pastor, born and raised in the church, basically. However, I grew up in the hood, so I was exposed to some other things outside those doors, outside my parents' doors. And growing up, I had to bump my head a few times, got in trouble, even got kicked out of college in my freshman year, well, sophomore year of college. But as I became an adult, and I actually was able to get a second chance from the trouble that I got in when I was in college. I was able to get a second chance, kind of do things the right way. And a light bulb kind of went off in my head. And the same neighborhood that I grew up in, there was youth that were growing up in that same neighborhood that didn't have any guidance. And I wanted to be able to make a change, and then of course, it's my culture and my people and people that look like me. So I want to lead them in the right way, and I want them to be successful in doing it. Whatever they define success to be, I want to be successful in terms of helping them find their success. And they can't do that with making the wrong choices or the bad choices. They need positive guidance in their life um, to be successful in a positive way. And so it was important for me to more so just kind of put the action behind it, not just talk, and sit back. And so what I did was basically, always knew that I wanted a mentoring program, but I never knew how to go about doing it, as far as resources and what I needed and none of that. I didn't know any of that. And so what I did was basically just put everything on paper. I just was writing everything down as things came to my head as to how I want my mentoring program. I would just write it down. And I came to my brother, told my brother, I was like, man, I think I want to do a summit. I'm gonna do a brother to brother summit, a youth male summit. And he was like, man, do it, man. He was like, man, I'm behind you 100%, And so like, when you have that kind of support, my brothers, I have three older brothers, and all three of them was behind me and wanted to support me and help me in any kind of way that they could. And so I put the summit together at my dad's church. Like I said, my dad is a pastor, so I put the summit together there and brought in speakers. And after the event was over, I mean, it was so powerful and inspiring. The speakers that I had on the panel, they, we kind of talked out afterwards, and one of the guys was like, "Man, we need to make this a permanent thing, instead of it being just a one thing." Because with my summits, I would typically after that I would do it annually. And so he was like, man, we need to just make this a permanent deal and make an organization out of it. And then from there on, that's where the birth of our nonprofit started from, and along with the mentoring program.
That is good, and one of the key things that I heard you say, you didn't know how you wanted it to be, but you just did it anyway. You wrote it
Right.
on paper, and it didn't stop you that you didn't know you didn't exactly know how you wanted it to be, but
Right.
you just know it was a need out there, and you said, I need to be the one to get it done,
Absolutely.
and to help somebody, because somebody else's child and somebody else's life is at stake. And so you
Absolutely.
didn't make any excuse. It was no hindrance. And I love that. And I think that's encouragement to me and even the audience, that's listening and watching the replay. And look how far he's gotten ever since 2015. And now we in 2021. And all he did was start with a piece of paper. And now how many do you have, like a lot of children, or do you have a
Yeah.
cap on children?
Yeah. So the way we have our mentoring program set up is we do two enrollment classes a year. We do spring and fall. And so of course last year with the pandemic, that kind of pushed us back a little bit. And so we're kind of slowly kind of getting back into the norm of doing things. But we do two the induction classes a year, spring and fall. And so right now we have a total of active members of 41 guys right now. And so
Wow.
and our target age is sixth grade through high school. And so they get into the program, and we get some guys that start when they in the sixth and seventh grade, and they're in there all the way up until the seventh grade. And so and even for me, I'm pouring into these guys, but a lot of times, man, just seeing the results of it on the end of it, because we have guys that have went through our program and they've gone to college, and we have some that have already graduated college, have started their careers, and they come back and they tell us how much they appreciate us, for helping them and being in their life, and also just kind of stepping in and being that father figure and teaching them certain things that just to kind of help them get to where they are today, man. And so it's so moving. I got one guy that graduated. He's actually teaching there in Meridian, Mississippi, and he wanted to actually expand. He asked, can we expand our program there to Meridian to actually start a program there in that area? And he kind of spearheaded in that area and kind of covered that area with it. And so, that's still in the works, that's still in the talks. And but just things like that, man, that's what just keeps me moving and keep wanting to do it more. And that's what just keeps pushing me.
That's good. You are definitely being fruitful and multiplying. That's what fruitful and multiplying looks like. Whenever you are getting a young male and training him up, and then he goes out and do the same thing in his area. And
Right.
so that is good, and it shows that you are teaching them well, and you are doing a great job with these young guys, that they can take what you learn and still want you to expand it. And he see the vision for you to expand, the mentoring in a different city. And we're going to say, in the future, it's going to be all over.
Absolutely.
It's too where you at now is too small. It have to expand
Yeah.
because more people need it. Not just more people, but as the topic is, more young Black men need it.
Hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
thank you so much for that. And would you say that environment matters for the young Black male?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I grew up in the hood, and I was exposed to, again, in my house, it's great house, because I grew up in the church, and what my dad preached about, that's also what he lived at home. Same my mom. That's what they lived. They preached in the church, and they came home, they lived that same life. But I grew up in the hood, we lived in the hood, and so that environment, it I was exposed to things in my environment that made me take that wrong turn, even though I was being taught the right thing inside. But in my environment, because of what I was exposed to when I got outside those doors, you know, I decided to take the wrong route or the negative route. And so environment, it does matter. And so, like, even if you grow up in a neighborhood, that most people you see in that neighborhood is doctors and lawyers, and people that's successful entrepreneurs and things like that. you know Typically you're going to be what you see, and so the environment 100% matters, all the time. And so with mentoring, you can kind of give that balance. So if you got a kid that only thing that he's exposed to, whether it's a negative household, whether it's a negative environment, but then he come on this side, and then you also get positive mentoring and positive reinforcement, it kind of gives that balance a little bit to where, okay, well, there is more to uh, the negative side. I mean, it's more to life than just the negative side. You know what I mean? I can also go this positive route and be successful and be a business owner and a successful entrepreneur and own multiple businesses, or and if they desire to work for a company or whatever it may be, and so environment 100% matters. So I mean, it can either um, help them or motivate them,
Help.
but if it's not motivating them, their environment, then they just need that balance.
Right. I think that's, yeah, good as well, because no matter what we're taught at home, we still gonna want to go outside the home and
Absolutely.
experience for ourselves. Can I get a witness for y'all that are listening? Now, I know some of y'all probably done, did some stuff, but our parents raised us right. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a pastor's kid, a preacher's kid as well. And they teach us the right way to go, but at the end of the day, whenever we get outside of those doors, we have so much influence. TV is on now, social media
Hmm.
have gotten to be so crazy. And so
Oh yeah.
I'm thankful, and I thank God for even this show, to try to bring back positivity, to try to bring back God
Hmm.
and different things upon people's timeline. But it is so much that's throwing at these people. And I also heard that our minds get shaped so early in life. And
Hmm.
it gets shaped even like at the 2-year-old mark. And
Yep.
so we need to be starting early, shaping the minds of the children. And that's why
Absolutely.
TV and media is so powerful right now. And it's affecting the children because they're
Yep.
always on YouTube, always on social media. Now they have TikToks, and guess what it's doing? It's shaping the child's mind. They don't even go outside in the environment no more. The
Yep.
environment is coming inside their home, and so it's shaping their mind. And so now we have to get to a place where they could come to you, get off them phones. They can come to you or someone like you so that they can be, their minds can be shaped into a better place. And I like
Mm-hmm.
the age group that you have, because you're getting them right before they go to college. You're getting
Mm-hmm.
them right before they go to the quote unquote real world. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is good. This is just such a really good topic, and I think a lot of people don't talk about it. And this is good. And so
Look, and you
when
and you and you said two key things about the media, and then also with the shaping of their mind. So like in my book, that's I have two chapters that specifically talks about the media and the negative side of it, and also some positive sides of it, but most of the negative side, and then also the mind, how, because our mind is so powerful, it's like one of the strongest muscles in our body or whatever. And so it's so powerful, and so like what you feed it is what's going to come out, and so, but yeah, so that's big on what you just said for sure.
the mind, yes, definitely big. And the devil, the enemy, knows exactly how to do
Hmm.
it, when to do it. He's very strategic on how to get your children, not just your children, but you. But we're talking about the children right now. And we have parents who just drop their children off anywhere, or they
Hmm.
leave them at home by themselves, or
Yep.
they just lock them up in a room with a phone. And so when we do that, I'm not a mother yet, but when we do that, we're giving access to the devil.
Hmm.
For we letting the enemy have access to our children at a young age. And that's why they're turning out to be the way that they are, is because at their youth age, those spirits, come on the inside of them and shape them to who they want them to be, not who God have created them to be, but who the devil want them to be. And so a lot of people who are now, you see the killing and the stealing and all that stuff like that, sometimes it's because of lack of good parenting.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yep. You're
Leave
right.
them with a phone and
Hmm.
let them heal by themselves.
Yep.
And so, but this is your show. Okay, so mentoring. Mentoring. Okay, you do mentoring. So do you teach other people how to mentor?
I mean, I have had guys that reached out to me and called me, asked me for advice and things like that. Like, I'm always open to help and give advice or whatever the case may be. Because again, um, you know, one of the main things that I talk about in my book is more so I'm encouraging more men to step up to be mentors. And so if so that's, I'm always open to, if you have questions, if you need help or whatever the case may be, I'm open to it, because it needs to be more, not just my organization, because it's not about me and it's not about my co-founders, it's not about my advisors, you know what I mean? It's about these youth. And so the more mentors that we have, the more youth that we can affect. You know what I mean? We can make more impact. And so I'm encouraging more men, especially more black men, to step up to be mentors to these young black boys, and even not just our, and I specifically talk about the black boys more so because we're supposed to be the head. And so with us being kings and the head, and then we know how to treat our queen. We know how to protect our queen. And so we got to work on us first, you know what I'm saying? So we
Right.
can be who we need to be for our women and for our ladies and that kind of thing. And so, so that's why I mainly talk about, our, because our young black girls, they need mentoring too, 100%. But
One.
specifically, but I talk about often about our males, because that's the head, and so I encourage more black men to step up to be mentors to our young black boys, and just and change the scope of everything, the whole image of us all together, and put us in our rightful places.
Yes. So when the head is cut off, the body don't function.
Absolutely.
and we got to have our head right.
Hmm.
And that is so good. And so you teach or you encourage men to
Right.
step up and do mentoring. How could they get into that place if they have not been mentored themselves?
Well, I mean, me personally, I've never been quote unquote mentor myself. I mean, I've had positive role models in my life, such as my dad and uncles, or positive people in my life. But as far as like an actual mentor, I didn't really have a mentor, or even really knew what an actual mentor was until I actually started working in the corporate world. Then in corporate America, corporate world, you're working on jobs and you have certain mentors. That's for that particular realm. But as far as like for just life in general, or when I was growing up, I didn't have an actual mentor. So that was something as far as being a mentor, just understanding. For me, it was more so seeing a need in my community. These young boys needed guidance. And so from there, that's when the whole idea of, okay, oh, well, that's the same thing as being a mentor, because you're guiding them in the right way. And so as far as like just being taught, it's more so like, I often tell my young guys, like, learn from other people's mistakes, because you can't learn them all yourself. And us as older
That's
men,
wisdom.
and us as older, we're older than them. We've been their age before, they hadn't been our age yet. So they can learn from our mistakes and then our experiences. And so us being older than them, we can tell them some of our experiences and some of our flaws, or things that we went through, so they can avoid those same mistakes. And so the mistakes that we made, and the whatever it may be, they can learn from that and they can avoid those same mistakes. So like I said, I got in trouble when I was a sophomore in college, got kicked out. And I told my guys the whole story as to what happened, how it happened, and I was able to get a second chance. Like what I got charged with, it was supposed to have been a felony, but there's nothing on my record. God gave me that second opportunity. So for me, I got to pay that forward. And so to help these young guys, because everybody don't get that second chance. And so it's all about telling them, listen, don't put yourself in that situation to where you have to hope you get a second chance. And that's mainly what it's all about, just being able to teach from your own experiences. And that's what it's about.
I could literally shout right there, and I'll be praise break. Literally. Because when you say, I remember we was talking and you say you have all this stuff, you had all this stuff on your record, but you
Hmm.
have nothing to show for it.
Right.
No, nothing on your record.
Yeah.
And we cannot say what God cannot do.
Absolutely.
And if you are out there, this is a testimony that you're looking at right before your eyes. If you can, you just give them encouragement. Somebody who may even have a felony or feel like they have no hope, they can't do nothing else because the system will not allow them to be
Yep.
great. Can
Hmm.
you encourage them even right now?
Yeah, I mean, my what I would always say is, it's not where you start, is where you're in. And and part of life is all about obstacles, and going through those obstacles and adversity. But at the end of the day, the person that got the last say so is God. And and I'm not, even I grew up in the church and all of that. I'm not a churchy type of person. But at the end of the day, I always keep God first. And whether I speak to him, pray, and all that kind of thing. I do that often, and God has the last say so in anything, in any situation at all. But it's all about believing in Him and having faith and talking with Him, because you can um, stress about something, or mope about it, or complain about it, and that kind of thing. But if you just gonna sit there and do that, and not continue to move forward, then you doing yourself a disservice. But it's all about just keeping a positive mindset on it. Then at the same time, just continue to move, keep putting action behind whatever it is that you're wanting to do or trying to do. Because yeah, with a felony, it's difficult. Listen, I done been in corporate America. I've had opportunities to be branch managers for banks and things of that nature. And one mark on your record, man, and it messes your whole, career wise up and that kind of thing. And so, but at the end of the day, God has the last say so.
Oh, yeah.
And as long as you put that action behind whatever it is you're trying to do, God gonna meet you and help you get over whatever that adversity is.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I know people now that say, I can't, I can't even get a job. They
Yeah,
can't even get a job at Burger King, because
it's
they got a
tough.
feeling.
And also with that, I also look at sometimes that can be a blessing within itself because our culture as black, like we're so creative and we have so much that we supposed to be doing. And sometimes when we go work for somebody else, we really kind of limit ourselves, and you probably not getting that job because that ain't what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? What you're supposed to be doing is what's on the inside of you. Whatever it is, your passion or your purpose, whatever that may be, that's probably what you're supposed to be doing. You ain't supposed to be going to go work for somebody else and continue to make them rich or go on a job and you stress out because yeah, you happy you got a job, but at the same time, that ain't where your passion is. That ain't what you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what so you probably not getting a job because that ain't where God wants you. You know what I'm saying? So what your it takes a while for us to find whatever our passion is or what our purpose is. It takes a while. And again, that's why I always say, you got to tap into God to kind of find that. And then also that's why I always talk about too, like feed your mind the right stuff, positivity, because within that, you're going to find what you're supposed to be doing. It's going to put you on the right route. So yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, man, if you don't get a job that you think you should have gotten, or don't be down about that. Like, look at find what you're supposed to be doing. You probably, you may, you're supposed to open a business and build your own business and and that kind of. So anyway, so that's my 2 cents on that part.
Man, that's a whole different topic. We can go. I mean, we can put our feet on the accelerator on just that alone.
Look,
Be-
because what drew me to you, because when you wrote that book, the book you wrote, Fire Before Work, like man, when I say like I read it in one day, and so like I even quoted you in my book on one of the things you had said in there, man. And I'm like, man,
I'm
that is
quoting.
so powerful.
Hold on. I'm quoting.
Just, what I'm saying, that book you wrote is so powerful in so many ways, and it's an inspiration to so many people. You know what I mean? Because like just reading what you went through, you know what I mean? Like you doing what you supposed to do on the job, but what I'm saying, it was an issue with their own company, but they had an issue based on because you kind of spoke up about this situation that happened in the hotel, whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know, uh that puts you where you need it to be, which is right now. You know what I'm saying? And so it's such an inspiration to so many people. You know what I mean? And I tell people all the time, like after I read the book, you know, at the time I was still working in the corporate America, and like I was telling people, some of my coworkers about the book and everything. Uh, so it's I love the book. It's big.
Wow. Well, thank you. That is just encouragement to me because sometimes you don't feel like you doing as good, but here comes a mouthpiece from God to let you know that it's helpful to somebody, and I'm so
Absolutely.
grateful, that was able to help you in that moment. But I'm a big believer. That's why when they told me it's best that we part ways, my last words to them before I walked out was thank you for the promotion.
Yep.
It wasn't you firing me, it was you actually being used by God, because I got comfortable there
Yep.
and I stayed. And so he had to kick me out some type of way.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. And,
and
and you don't get bitter, you get better, and that's what you
you,
did.
you get better. You get better. It's been some up and downs, but at the end of the day, it's a trust God
Hmm.
moment and situation.
Yep.
And so, once again, everybody, thank you for coming in. This is Jerica J. Red Brumfield, host of All Things Web Show. I am here with mentor Abra Taylor, and we're talking about Black boys need empowering too. Oh, this is such a good conversation. If you're just tuning in, make sure you just go back and watch the replay. If you are in as well, be sure to like, join us in the comments. We want to hear from you as well. All right. And so, one of the things that you said beforehand as well, that the young men can learn from mistakes. And I think that's wisdom. That's what we get our wisdom from, is when other people make mistakes. It's best to learn from them so that you don't have to make it. I always tell people, I told someone who went to prison and they got a charge. I said, you have sacrificed your life for somebody else. You have
Absolutely.
sacrificed to go to prison so somebody else don't have to go. Why? Because when you tell your story, they're gonna be like, I ain't going. He done already went. I done learned from him. And so you are sacrificing. You didn't waste no time. You just sacrificed.
Yep.
You probably have wasted, or seem like you wasted, but you literally sacrificed. And so we have to get wisdom from people who already have been through stuff. That's why people say, how can you say something to me about marriage and relationships? You ain't never been married. So I learned from people who have bad marriages. I learned from people who have good marriages. I
Right.
study, I read the Bible. And so therefore you can have this wisdom on how to
Mm-hmm.
go about doing certain things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what if, okay, we have someone that wants to be a mentor but don't know how to go about doing it? What do you think they should do?
Uh, Jericho, can you give me like 1 minute?
Yes.
Give me 1 minute. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yes, sir. No problem. Everyone, this is Jerica J. Red Brumfield. Once again, thank you for coming in. I am with Mr. Abra Taylor. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. Such a great conversation. And if you are out there and you're, send this to someone, a black male, a teenager. Send this to someone, because we know they have social media and they're probably just on scrolling right now anyway, looking for something to do. So send them to this live, and we're about to get back to Mr. Abram. Okay.
All right. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
What was your question again?
So if someone wants to get into mentoring, what should they do?
Um, like I said, I mean, it's all about some of the guys that reached out to me in like different areas, they wanted to know what they can do to actually start a mentoring program like in their area or for their school, or how can they start, kind of thing. And a lot of times, typically, all it takes is one mentee. You take a guy under your wing, you see, whoever the guy is that need mentoring, or whoever the guys are or the young men are, you see who needs to be mentored, and you just commit time to doing it. And that's the biggest thing, is all about commitment, because you know it's cute to say, oh, I want to be a mentor, or I want to mentor these young men, but at the same time, if you ain't gonna be committed, man, you wasting your time and you wasting that kid time. You know what I mean? Like, and so for me, I have 3 kids of my own. I have a family of my own, and so, but at the same time, one of the things that I always was taught, my dad always taught me, was once you sign up for something, man, you got to be committed to doing it, and you got to see it through to the end. And so. It's all about commitment. That's the biggest thing. If you're gonna be a mentor, you got to be willing to commit 100%, and um and do all that you can in that young man life. And then from there, you mentor one young man, and then a lot of times with kids, man, they, especially in the school system, they're so all connected with each other, you know what I mean? And in some cases, it can be a negative or a positive, but there's so many followers and at that age, at young age. And so again, it can be a positive or a negative. And so if they see this one guy that's being mentored, and they see the path that, his behavior or whatever it is, has straightened up or got better, and now, you done change this young man's life, and now these other young men see this same change in this kid, or it may be their parent that probably saw the change in this kid, And then from there, they want their kid to, hey, they may ask you, hey, can you mentor my son or nephew or whoever as well. So I say the biggest thing is all about commitment. First and foremost, you got to be willing to commit and commit time away, put set time aside and commit to actually wanting to better that young man's life. So that's one way to get started. You got to be able to commit first. And once you commit, then at that point, you take a young man under your wing or some young men under your wing and do certain things to whatever your strategy is or your approach is, because it's different for everybody. And so like for me, in my program, we have general membership meeting with our guys every month. So we do general membership meeting once a month. Then we also do like a community event. So we may partner with another organization, or we may attend some community event that's educational or beneficial to them. And another thing that we do is a brotherhood function. And that brotherhood function is basically just a team building, brotherhood type of structure and building. So, for example, this month we're actually going to be going to the escape room. So we're taking the guys to the escape room and just
Okay.
having that team building, brotherhood type of function. So, but with our general membership meetings, there's different topics that we hit on, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's health
Wow.
education, sex education. Prior to the pandemic happening, in which we'll probably pick back up on doing it. It'll probably be 2023 or maybe even this upcoming year. But we would do college tours every summer, and we visit various colleges. We've been to Georgia, Georgia State University, Georgia Tech. We've been to Tennessee State, Fisk University. We've been to colleges in Louisiana, Alabama. And so we visit, various colleges, and just so they can see, for one, to change their view of the environment that they live in, and just taking them out of Mississippi and just going to another area to see that area. And then seeing options at different colleges of what they may want to do, because if that's the route that they want to take, then, hey, these are your options. These are some of the things that you can do. This is the ideal. And then again, and then even if college may not be what they want to do, because again, I've never been the one to ever force college on anybody, because at the end of the day, I'm a huge component of time. And so there's no point of you, if you don't want to go to college and that ain't what you're trying to do, there's no point for you going there to waste your time and waste your parents' time and their money.
Man,
And that's
money.
not what you know what I mean? And so it's all about having a plan. So what I always talk about is having a plan. So even if you're not going to go to college, you need to have some kind of plan in place, whether it be military, whether it be to get a trade, or because there's people that have trades that make just as much money as people that got college degrees. You know what I'm saying? And then also too, there's people that have gone to college that will have a degree in one thing and their careers in something totally different. You know what I mean?
I'm
So
totally different. Right.
so it's just all about, my biggest thing is just exposing our guys to as much as possible, just preparing them for life after high school and exposing them to um, life, things. So
That's good. That is good because they do need to be exposed to. Because sometimes people don't get to travel
hmm
with their
right.
parents. They don't get the experience. So now you're broadening their mindset or their
hmm
mind to better things. And so that is good. So do a person have to have a license or a certificate in order to be a mentor?
No, there's no license or certificate that's needed for that. However, if you want to, there are courses that you can take to get to be certified or have a certificate, but it's not a requirement. It's not needed, so to speak. But again, I'm all about there's nothing wrong with wanting to educate yourself more. And again, that's one of the E's of education. And when I say education, I'm not just talking about going to school and getting an education, but just being educated, just in general, whatever it is or whatever field it may be. But just being educated or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So yeah, so I mean, it's not a requirement to have a certificate, but there's nothing wrong with having a certificate and with it.
Okay. If you could quickly tell us one of the stories or students that came in that wasn't so polished
Mhm.
and where they're at now
Yeah.
in your
So,
program?
um, like I said, we had quite a few that's in college now that have already graduated. But I had one kid, as a matter of fact, just recently he came home for a break. He came to one of the general membership meetings, and he was telling the younger guys that's in the program, and he was just kind of speaking his experiences on when he was actually in the program in our organization. And and this is a kid that when he first went to college, there was some things that he was exposed to that he would have never known about had we not exposed him to it. And so he would call often and be like, I thank you so much, for what you did. And it was one time he got pulled over by the police, and it was a situation that happened. But he called me and he was like, man, I appreciate everything that you showed me and talked to me about, and the teachings that you gave me, because I felt like I could have died that night, from the situation with the police that
Wow.
pulled him over, with him being a black male. We know about all these situations we see on TV.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and so he was actually faced with a situation similar to that, here, so, but just recently he came home and he was talking about some of his experience of like when he was actually in the program, because he actually got in our organization. He was in his eighth grade when he joined our organization at the time. I think eighth grade or ninth grade. It was one of those grades. But anyway, so he was young. But he was saying that at the time, like a lot of the things that we would talk to them about and say to him, he would listen, but at the same time, it would kind of go in one ear, not the other, because it's like, oh man, that don't really, just kids being kids, you know what I'm saying? They don't understand what they need until they need it, kind of thing.
Right.
Or they don't know what they don't know, they don't know, and
They
so
don't know.
with him, he was telling them, listen, man, y'all need to, listen to what they're telling y'all, because, it's gonna come up and you're gonna be faced with, the situation that they're telling y'all about or exposing to y'all or teaching y'all gonna be faced with it. And he gave an example of he went and applied for a job, and the job that he applied for, it was virtual, right? So
Hmm.
and one of the things that we teach in our or what one of the requirements, so we make our guys dress up every Wednesday, right? So they at school they dress up every Wednesday. They have to wear shirt and tie, dress slacks every Wednesday. That's what they got to wear, right? And
Okay.
going through the orientation process, they got to dress up Monday through Friday every day at school. It's uncomfortable, but it's a method to actually why we do it. You know what I mean? Just getting them out of that comfort zone, right?
I
And
like
so
that.
he was so accustomed to actually dressing up because of being in the organization. So he said he applied for a job, and of course, with the pandemic, everything is virtual. And so it was an internship uh, job. It was a paid internship, and he was going into his senior year of college. And he said it was like 20 other applicants on the same interview call. Everybody, because it's virtual, everybody got on either a hoodie or t-shirt or whatever. He was the only one that actually dressed up. He had a shirt and tie on, right? So that made him stand out amongst everybody else just from that. So when all the interviews were over, the hiring manager called him and was like, hey, you got my attention because you were dressed up, you had a shirt and tie on, and I noticed everybody else had on hoodies or whatever else.
Right.
uh, what made you, why did you dress up? And he was just explaining, that's what he's used to. This I'm interviewing for a job, so I want to present myself as being professional. And so from there, out of everybody, he was the only one that was actually hired out of that whole group, out of 25 other applicants.
That is
Just
good.
just from that, that made him stand out. And so he said he had gotten so used to just being able to just dress up. It's nothing for him to dress up, especially when you're supposed to dress up, especially with interviews and things like that, like regardless of it's virtual or not. And then and that's one of the things that we always talk to them about too, just kind of standing out amongst everybody else, that kind of thing in a positive light, so.
Right. Yes, because presentation definitely matters. And that is good what you're doing, teaching these young males all around life. There's so many different areas of life, and it seems like you hit on a lot of them, whether that's etiquette, sexual, just how they present themselves, all that. And so that is really really good, and like I said, we need more of that. And so as we close, is there anything that you would like to say, any encouraging words that you would like to give in this moment?
Um, like I said, I mean, the biggest thing for me is empowering our Black youth. That's the biggest piece. And if you have a platform or if you have an opportunity to be able to help a young Black person, whether it's a piece of knowledge or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like that little bit that you do can go a long way. And that's the biggest thing for me. I'm all about the youth because that's our future. That's our future. And we want to make sure we lead them in the right way, and also make sure we put them in a pray and hope that they go in the right direction, because again, that's our future. And so um empower Black youth and do what you can to help them, and not just talk about them like, oh, this kid is bad, this and that, what I'm saying, but what could you do to help? What could you do to help them, or put them in the right direction, that kind of thing. And so less talking and just more action.
Definitely, definitely. Words are powerful. You all do
Absolutely.
not say your kid is bad.
Yep.
Please don't say they bad. You
Yep.
know, this little rascal bad. He just like
Hmm.
this. Oh, do not do it, y'all.
Yep.
All right. That's a good ending tip. Thank you so much for coming in and being on with us tonight. I really, really enjoyed this conversation because oh, it was so good. We could like literally keep going. It was really, really, really good. So thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, and I thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everyone. Once again, Jerica J. Red Brumfield, host of All Things Wealth Show. If you're just tuning in, be sure to like, share, subscribe to it. We would love to hear from you. Also, if you would like to do any type of donations, if you would like to support, give, you can do so. I believe it's showing, and you could give at Cash App or PayPal as well. And what this is going to do is going to help upgrade and further the show. Everything literally almost costs. And so you could help out going there. Like I said, I think it's on the screen. If not, it'll be on there in the comments or something like that. All right. We are on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Mondays 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Thursdays 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So tune back in on Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, if you did not get to watch the virtual family feud that we did yesterday, go back and watch the virtual family feud. It was so much fun. And if you would like to be a guest on All Things Web Show, go to Calendly. I should have had that up here, y'all. Calendly/All Things Web Show, or you could just click on the link that is in the bio. All right. So you all, I really, really enjoyed this night with Mr. Abra Taylor. It was so, so good and powerful. If you're just tuning in, go back in and watch the replay. All right, everyone. Y'all have a great, great, great night.